Hi, I'm Bob McComb, co-creator of the Top Dogs commercial real estate agent training programs. I'm pleased to be here with you today to share with you 3 keys to managing commercial real estate agents successfully. I hope you watched the last segment, 3 keys to motivating commercial agents. If you did, then I'm sure you got a lot out of that session in the short time that we had together. I'm also happy that you've decided to tap into my 17 years of experience as a commercial broker. I have 10 years as an owner broker, recruiting, hiring, and training more than 25 successful agents, and over 11 years of teaching and training commercial agents all across America on how to truly succeed in the business. If you've ever spent any time with me, you know that I provide practical, down-to-earth training that's based on real-world experience. So let's get right into the topic today, the 3 keys to managing commercial real estate agents. And in this segment, we're not just talking about new agents, because your veteran agents also need management. And managing your agents shows them that you care. And this is very important to all of the people who work with your company, regardless of how long they've been in the business. So the first key to managing agents is to set written standards. And the reason that we set written standards are very important, and it's equally important that everyone knows the company's standards. Having written standards lets your people know what's expected of them and what they can expect from their co-agents. And the standards that you set are what are going to create a winning team. There are 6 areas to consider when establishing your company's standards. The first is ethics, which means helping the clients make informed decisions based on ethical representation, and that includes timely and truthful disclosures, honesty, integrity, and more. The next are standards for general conduct, which begins with maintaining a professional demeanor, treating others with courtesy and respect. The third area is the agent's production standards, and those go right to the company's bottom line, and it's also the most important aspect of retaining your best agents. We'll be discussing production standards more in this segment. Account management standards include listing account management, as well as prospective tenants and buyers. Another area is standards for broker-to-broker cooperation, which also goes to the bottom line, and it impacts your identity in the marketplace, which in turn affects your brand, which needs to be protected. Self-development and education standards are an important part of creating a winning atmosphere and developing a winning team. You see, strong producers don't want to be associated with weak agents, and the better agents don't want to stay with companies where everyone is not getting better and where they're not growing. Let's turn our attention to establishing production standards. Agents perform best when they know what's expected of them. This also leads to happier and more secure agents, and that leads to better agent retention. And your focus must be on net company dollars and not just the agents making desk cost. You see, there's a profit potential for every desk in your company, and you must expect that the agents live up to that profit potential. So having production standards sends the right messages. Among the most important messages are not just anyone can get a job here, not just anyone can keep a job here, and that one agent's actions affects the others, and that non-performance or underperformance is completely unacceptable. Now, I suggest that you establish quarterly goals and income targets for your agents, because it's one of the best ways to avoid prolonged production slumps. My experience has been that annual income goals are much less effective than quarterly goals. And naturally, this does require that you conduct some quarterly reviews. Now, the most important aspect of production standards is that everyone has a written operational game plan. Do you remember that story about the 2 loggers that decided to have a wood cutting contest? Well, one was a big Paul Bunyan-sized fellow, and the other was rather short and slender. And they agreed to chop wood from sunup to sundown to see who was the best. The big guy went at it nonstop, and the little guy stopped every hour. At the end of the day, the smaller man's stack was 1/3 larger than the big man's stack. How did you do that, he wanted to know. He said, I never took a single break, and you were stopping every hour. It's true, I did stop, but it was to sharpen my axe. Over the years of managing agents, I've noticed that most spend all their available time working in their business for their clients, and too little time working on their business for themselves. When asked to describe their operational business plan, most draw a blank. They show up at the office and they react to whatever's coming their way. Too few plan their work week in advance, and even fewer operate from a marketing plan, a marketing calendar, and a marketing budget to ensure that new business is initiated every week. And the failure to initiate new business every week results in sales slumps. In reality, they're not actually sales slumps, they're marketing failures, and these are curable operational flaws. A clear-cut, simple operational plan that's both scheduled and budgeted is easy to maintain, and it is the best insurance against production slumps. And it's the best way to depersonalize any corrective actions that management may need to take. If an agent's not producing, the problem is in one of three areas: lead generation, lead conversion, or in the services delivery. And therefore, to assess whether corrective action needs to be taken, we need to look first at whether or not the agent's generating enough leads. Agents must initiate new business each and every week without fail. In order to do that, they have to have a written operational game plan for that lead generation with those multiple methods for generating leads. Having one method that relies primarily on prospecting or networking is a flawed model. The prospecting will stop as soon as the agent is busy with a few deals, and usually too few. Now, if the agent is generating enough leads, the next area to look at is how well are they converting leads into exclusives. If they're consistently meeting with the clients and failing to convert leads into clients, then remedial action needs to take place in the lead conversion arena. Agents that are generating leads and doing well at converting leads but are not reaching their production standards probably have an issue in their ability to deliver services. Sometimes agents are their own worst enemy in the services delivery area, because if they close their transactions, they're going to have to go out and get new ones. And sometimes that's too painful for them. Again, the idea here goes to having a robust lead generation system in place. Now, the next key to managing agents is to measure lead generation. You see, most managers have a limited amount of time to manage the agents, so I suggest you focus your management efforts on the lead generation. And that's because many agents are reasonably capable of converting leads into clients when they have the opportunity. And with help, most can get through the transaction and earn that commission. When agents are struggling, it's usually in the area of lead generation. So if your time for managing agents is limited, then focus on managing their lead generation. An important part of managing the lead generation is to make sure that you're measuring that lead conversion ratio. This is important in order for you to protect your brand, because when agents fail to convert leads into clients, it damages your brand. The third key for managing agents is being willing to lead. There's an ancient Chinese expression that says a fish rots from the head down. Now, sadly, I found a real reluctance in brokerage owners and sometimes even sales managers to provide meaningful leadership. So here's a few tips that can increase your willingness to lead. The first is have an ongoing hiring plan in place so that you are willing to replace the dead wood that's not producing. The second tip is be willing to take some prompt corrective action whenever it's needed. Don't wait for fear that you might offend the agent by pointing out they're not meeting the production standards. They already know it. They need to know that you care enough to address the issue and to help them to be more successful. And lastly, never expect that any agent that works for you is as entrepreneurial in the same ways that you are. They're not. If they were, it'd be their name on the door, not yours. See, this is something I learned the hard way, and I hope that you'll take that advice to heart. Now, another important tip is to be ready to recognize and reward production and success. In the third part of this management series, How to Conduct Sizzling Sales Meetings, I'll be telling you more about that. I'm also going to give you some great ideas on how you can get your agents to show up on time for meetings, want to attend them, participate enthusiastically, and increase their personal productivity and the company's bottom line. I'm very excited to share that segment with you, and I look forward to seeing you there. As always, you can reach me at 888-894-2039, 888-894-2039, or by emailing me at bob@mccomb.com.